I was on a Charlie Rose show years ago, and he asked me a question like that. How did it feel to be fired like that? I said, it's their opinion and not mine. And who knows what went behind that. And I never thought of that before. But hello.
From the news team at LinkedIn, I'm Jessi Hempel, and this is Hello Monday. It's our show about the changing nature of work and how that work is changing all of us. Today, friends, we're going to talk about taste. What is taste exactly? Well, it's not pattern recognition. It's not merely studying. If those things mattered to taste, artificial intelligence would be pretty good at it, and we all know that AI bombs at taste. Now, taste is something magic. It involves talent. It involves intuition. It involves a little bit of everything and something else, something that cannot quite be described and measured. Today's guest is among the most significant tastemakers of our time. He's Mickey Drexler. Now, as I was coming up in business reporting, I always knew of Mickey, and even at the beginning of my career, he was already legend. He's the reason that khakis and button-downs became a thing in the 90s. He invented Old Navy, if you can believe it. And after all of that, he got fired. And just in that moment when you would think that he could back into an easy career of golf games and martinis in the evening, Mickey leaned in. He took over J.Crew and built it into a powerhouse. He launched Madewell. Half the jeans in my closet are Madewell. Now, at this point, you would think he'd really earned his retirement, but that is not Mickey's way. Instead, he has a new company, a brand that is once again turning heads. He has started it with his son. It's called Alex Mill. Today, Mickey and I are going to talk about taste. We're going to talk about intuition and building businesses and what it takes not just to have the talent, but to let the talent shape the future. This episode is particularly warm because it was recorded before a live audience that included many people who had worked with and for Mickey. If you want to catch that full, unedited episode, well, we still have it for you. If you have LinkedIn Premium, you can find a link to it in the show notes and watch the whole thing. Here's Mickey Drexler.
One of the issues is sometimes we're doing too many things. Less is more in America. Everyone has too much choice. Go down the cereal aisle. 30 cereals, I don't want to know. I decide, but then I fall in love with a little too many things. And but I decide about the style being, it's an emotional reaction. Mm-hmm. There's something there when I look at something. Beautiful goods, a great color. And every day I'm debating people about, like today we have an email going out. And it was in our best fitting woman's pant, the Neil. And the headline was herringbone. I said, who the heck knows what herringbone is besides a wooden floor with the crisscrosses? I said, that's not the message. And the message really on a pant is the fit first. Yeah. It's our best fit. And now they're first doing doing a new fabric. So, and I say these things so logical to me. The woman, if the pant is good, so talk about the fit of the Neil and do it in 2 or 3 other fabrics.
Okay, so that knowledge that you have, that it's the fit that your customers are going to care about before anything else.
In a pant, yes.
In a pant.
Right.
That must come from experience more than it comes from just knowing.
Well, I'm a detective. I'm addicted to podcasts, true crimes.
Yep.
The good detectives, they never let a clue get away. And, a lot of them are horrible murder cases. And the fact is that this leads to that. And the cold cases, some of them are solved after 20 years because it leads here to there to there. And I look at clues. If I see something 2 or 3 times, I said to the team yesterday, Monday, because Monday's my weekend update.
Okay.
I said, you don't have to go to Europe to get ideas. Why don't you go to a favorite store? You've got to figure out what's big, what's small, and what's exciting. what's new, or what should be retired.
Yeah.
And, we make a million mistakes.
I want to revisit those mistakes that you just sort of referenced. As you look back over the long arc of your career, the things that you missed, the big mistakes that you point to and say, man.
There's so many of them. And if you don't take the risks or make mistakes, I learn from every single mistake because I pay attention to every detail.
Yep.
People call me a micromanager. I'm a customer. And I'm a micromanager as a customer. And I made mistakes. I started a company called Hemisphere. It was a bad decision. It was a multi-brand company. I loved the show. I even copied the name. I hate to say it.
Yep.
The mistakes, too much inventory, chasing a trend that's wrong, hiring the wrong people. And that's the most important job we have. And I mean
getting the hiring right.
Yeah, well, you have to feel it. And I don't care. I say this at fancy and non-fancy schools. I don't care where you were educated. I like a college degree, but, whatever. And I don't care about board scores. I don't care about grades. I care about, and I start to speak to people like you'd speak to someone on a casual way.
Yeah.
Tell me about where you grew up. And, I met someone yesterday. She had 13 siblings, sisters or brothers. And, I get into conversations and you can pick up speed very quickly if it's not part of the rehearsed part of every interview. People come in and I sit there with them and I schmooze and they're very surprised because they're all nervous. And I just, but I interview how people think. I used to look how fast they walk at Gap.
How fast people walk.
Yeah.
Your questions, how people think. Do you have one interview question that's your take it out of your back pocket because it's how you're going to figure something out?
Well, it's all curiosity of the person. So I'll ask someone if they worked at Starbucks. Let me ask somebody, if you were running Starbucks, how would you run this shop? What would you do better?
Yeah.
And, I'll never forget someone said it's all perfect. I said, what about the messy counters? This is 10 years ago. I asked someone in high school. The high school was named after someone.
Yep.
And I said to her, well, who's the high school named after? Didn't know. Those are all tells. And there's a lot of tells always if you're good at detecting the tells.
And the tell is that you're not a curious person. And here's the thing about curiosity. It feels like curiosity is a critical component of what it means to be a good leader. And one of the things that I really want to explore with you today is really how to step into that leadership role. A lot of us may never actually be the CEO of our organization.
And I don't like that name, CEOs.
CEO.
I think, as I said to you today, it's kind of a bad connotation.
Well, let's talk about leadership.
Okay,
right? Especially for people who are first assuming that role, right? And it would seem like you have to be so confident to nail it. Like, what do new CEOs, new leaders need to understand about how to be good at their job?
Well, I ran Ann Taylor. It was a tiny little company. We turned it around. I never thought about how to be a leader. I thought about the people. I was into little things all the time. I look at every style. But Ann Taylor was great until it was bought out by a big, bad company.
Sure.
Anytime a company takes over a creative company, they suck the life out of it, in my opinion, all this. And because there's a cultural thing, there's a creative thing, there's this, that. And so I left there. I went to Gap. I was a mess for the first 2 or 3 years there.
Yeah.
It was tanking. It was a nightmare. And I was depressed. We had a hard time adjusting. And it's a public company with the stock dropping. I just got up every day and just went at it. I always said what I thought. And I was lucky my best friend still was an instinct or a judgment. I didn't learn how to run a corporation. I don't, I just say what I think.
So is it fair then to summarize your advice? And by the way, this is not just my question. Doug A. in California is asking this question. Your advice to new CEOs to some degree is to stay in the game till you're learning?
You're always learning. Every day and you have to connect to the team, and you can't be in your ivory tower.
So the next question actually comes from Neer Hendy in the U.S., who says, your story of helping Apple design their shops is incredible. So few know that you are the mind behind it. I did not know that.
Why would you?
So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, Steve is the smartest guy in the room, and persistence and the characteristics of success beyond. So he met me in Napa Valley at a mutual friend's birthday. He walked over, he started to schmooze. I'm saying, that's Steve Jobs. And I knew who he was. And then he calls me a week or two later. He said, I'd like you to join the board, 1999. I said to Steve, I don't like boards, and I don't know anything about technology. I still don't. A year later, he never gave up. And a year later, he said to me, if you join my board, I'll join the Gap board. Bingo. Because Steve would be Steve at the Gap board. You know, he was Steve. He was late. He was, irreverent.
He really got away with it.
Yeah. He was fantastic. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes he'd call me a little in the middle of the night or whatever. And I say, Steve, I'm asleep. And then the next day. But something, I loved him. He was a brilliant guy. Mm. He busted me on using the BlackBerry. I was born much too early for the tech world. And then, he got sick.
Yep.
And I just watched him for 5 or 6 years until the end. And he never gave up. Mm-hmm. And he left a legacy in this world. And if he lived, he was going to do a car, an electric car or whatever. He loved design. And I said to him once, he talked about the Tesla, them, it's an ugly 2-seater car. And he would say things. I said, Steve, the Tesla sports car is so ugly. He looked at me like with the rice, whatever. Anyone could design a great car. It's what's inside it that anyway, I miss him a lot.
Yeah. Well, listen, this question comes from Billy May in New York.
I know Billy.
Well, that's probably why he's asking this question.
How are you, Billy? Go ahead.
Hey, Nikki calls it schmoozing, but ask him about networking and having a professional and personal sounding board. And he references here Bobby Brown. I assume you know what he's talking about.
Yeah, forget boards on big companies. They have this, that. We don't have a board. We have advisors. Most of my advisors are people I've worked with, people I call to bounce off things that I'm thinking about. And I just want to test the waters, especially on the creative stuff, on marketing. And I always ask people, I never tell them what I think.
Right.
And I never, in a group, have people vote on anything. I say, write down what the retail should be, write down if you like it. Because the first person who answers, $100, then they all gather around 100. I want to know what's inside people's heads. And then I edit out what I think is going to not last forever.
Yeah.
And most things do not quality-wise, because for me, quality is job number one, which Ford Motor Company used to say, whatever. But I edit out. And I've always, I don't know what created my buying things that don't go out of style, because I don't want to walk around with, that's the guy or the woman who wears the purple shirt. I don't want to. I don't want to stand out in the crowd.
You want to be timeless.
Yeah.
So, well, okay. So,
thank you, Billy.
It's a great question. I am curious. We talk a little bit about the skills you need to be an excellent leader. I'd like to hear about a leadership skill that you had to develop early in your career. You didn't show up at the job with it.
That's a really tough question to answer, because so much of it is day-to-day learning. Mm-hmm. I think the most important skill is a lot of them. It's to be a normal, not ivory tower person who thinks they're smarter than everyone. There are a fair amount of people out there like that. It's connecting to people, being normal, and you never learn about something unless you kind of have a relationship with someone. And when I got to each of the companies, first day I look at all the goods, and on the companies that were bad, you need to liquidate and turn to cash. When I was at Gap, the stock dropped in half. Don, bless his heart, said, we're going to have a bad quarter. I said, if you don't turn the bad goods, and there were bad goods, into cash, we'll never get out of this situation. The other thing, meet all the people.
Yeah.
That's your team. And I'm good merchants. Technology, I don't know enough about it, but you have partners who know. But meet all the people. Who are the players? Who aren't the players? Who are you going to bet on? Who are you not going to bet on? And every company I went to, that was what I did. The other thing, and I think reviews in American companies or whatever have to be, I listen to, and I've learned this over time, it didn't happen, the most important review people can give are the subordinates of bosses. Because everyone sucks up to the boss one degree to another, and very successful people do it really well. But when I ask someone, tell me about the boss, what did you learn? Oh, they're nice. This. I said, what did you learn? And what did they do to be successful? Anyway, those are just part of it.
I love that, particularly that explains to me why you asked me early on when I first met you to tell you about my boss.
Right.
Yeah. Listen, we got a lot of answers coming in on the feed to that question of the number one skill. Many, many, many of you say listening. And I would agree, and that's core to what it means to connect to people. Pranay says, a high EQ, which to me is very much what you're talking about. You want to develop relationships.
And the other thing, no one can call me Mr. I don't care who it is. It separates.
Collapse the hierarchy.
Yeah. I mean, even the restaurant, I said, Mickey, that's it. Yeah. And I feel, because I want them to feel not beneath me.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. It's also true to a core human experience. Now, listen, I want to talk a little bit about how to spot trends early because, Mickey, I'm just going to say this, and you must acknowledge that it's true by this point in your career. This is a spidey skill that you have. You can
what
spot
skill?
A spidey skill.
I never heard that word.
You obviously don't have a 6.5-year-old son at home.
Right.
Spider-Man, he has it's a spidey sense.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know what the 25-year-olds are saying in my office. 30 years old.
Fair enough. This is a gift that you have. Right? You can spot trends coming. And I want to know, is this DNA or is this something the rest of us can learn?
It's a really hard question to answer. First of all, I don't chase trends. I always say to every picture, the picture's worth 1,000 words. I want to look like that. That's what I'm saying. And I looked at all those emails and photos. Important. One point of view. But I made mistakes, of course.
Yeah.
But I feel it.
Yeah.
I just feel and I fall in love. Like this week, there's an Italian suede penny loafer we have, and they did 4 or 5 extra colors for us, for women. Spotting a trend. Well, if you see something 3 times, the first time I love, and if you love the way it looks, that's it. And
it registers in your field of vision.
Emotional. I have an emotional attachment to things I like.
This question comes from Melody, actually in Italy, who wants to understand timing. She says, how has your trend spotting evolved to time innovations just right, despite long development cycles?
I think I'm not spotting trends.
Yeah.
When I look at clothes, I never said this is a strategy. Everything I bought was kind of, I'd say, I just loved it forever. Like this scarf, I get more. I have 25 of these. I got them wholesale from Michael Dre. This jacket, I have a sense of I don't want to be a fashion person.
Yeah.
I just don't want to be that person. Yes, I love Hermes, but I don't wear a logo Hermes.
Yeah.
And logo to me is always the style and the taste of goods. But the world doesn't look at it like that. The dupe counterfeit business today is huge. The bar has been much lowered on wearing designer clothes, forgetting the crazy prices.
Yeah. Well, okay. So this question comes from Eileen Vincent in Zurich, Switzerland. What 3 things should brands focus on now in an overcrowded market in what you have rightly described as a very turbulent time?
And a highly discounted market. What 3 things? Always the product, always relative quality. I'm counting that as one.
Right.
Always great color. There's an emotional reaction. To me, every shop or every collection needs to look like a painting. If you get one color wrong, no one teaches that, but I walk in and there's a message.
Yeah.
2 minutes. So that's one. Goods, goods, goods. 2 is you got to be, see around corners. Most people are rear view mirror. They look at what was, and the windshield is much bigger than the rear view mirror. Where does the road go? Where are the detours? 3, obviously great people, but you have to have, people say, how'd you do this? I had a list of items that I felt was white space in the market. Everything to me was too expensive.
Yeah.
Nice things. And good taste should not cost any extra. And so the premise of the Gap was, I don't say uniform, but, things you wear, and things you wear no matter what kind of designer clothes you wear.
Yeah.
And we did that individualist style campaign. I don't know if you remember, it's the black and white. That thing like that. And it connected emotionally to people. And
you talk about emotionally, you talk about this idea of seeing around corners, and I'm left wanting to ask you, is AI going to be able to do this on our behalf?
I plead ignorance. I'm serious. I really do. Because, AI, I'm not a technology guy. Everything is AI. I don't know how many companies, this guy Sam, this one here, what's his name, Musk. It's not going to have the emotional ability. It's extraordinary.
Sure.
It's extraordinary. I asked it to design Fair Isle sweaters 2 weeks ago. I just was curious at what it does. Give me a person who's emotional, not a robot. This business is all in the fingertips.
Listen, I got 2 final questions for you. We're going to call it rapid
I'm
fire.
having a lot of fun, but go ahead.
We're going to call it rapid fire, and that means that you need to
Fast,
Sure.
few words.
Okay, so number 1. This one comes from a good one from Sharon Sweatmeyers in the United States, a follow-up to something you said earlier. How did you influence other stakeholders as a micromanager? Self-identified.
Well, that implies micromanagers are not good.
Yeah.
If the bosses don't care about the little stuff, who's going to care? I care about every letter to a customer. It's not doing anyone's job. It's teaching them how you actually need to be when you run any business. I wish there were more people who paid attention to the loud music, to the this, to the prices. How do I do it? There are team members. I'm inspirational with them, or I teach, and I'm a normal Hamisha, it's a Yiddish term, mensch. That's what I like to be. That's the best compliment.
I love that. Okay, here's the next one.
Okay.
Okay, and one more after this.
Okay, was that rapid enough? Go ahead.
Yeah, that was pretty rapid.
Okay.
Were you to write a memoir, and we understand you haven't yet, but if you were to, Deborah from New York would like to know what its title would be.
Oh, well, I had a title. I'm not writing a memoir because I find what I am trying to do. Well, its title I had, Can I Have Your Attention, Please? For the 15 or 18 years at J.Crew, I had a loudspeaker.
Yeah.
That was my vehicle to the world. I would go on that. I was news reporter. I'd say, come here, I love this. It was 3 floors. I don't know how many people. And it also kept me as a human being. I'd ask them if they lived in South Dakota, what do you think of this shopping center we're looking at?
This one comes from Oliver Tan in California. Thank you for your words to live by. One of my faves was, do it better every day. Quote.
Yep.
To this day, I follow this mantra in my career. Any new words to live by?
Well, those words, they're 30 years old. Every day I should show my quotes. There are new words. Less is more. Don't run price integrity, be consistent, be familiar, be nice. Those are the rules of life.
Yeah.
And we all know the rules of life. Say thank you when someone opens a door.
Right.
Stuff like that, a smile. And those to me, I mean, I could spend hours on this. I do quotes, I think, on Instagram a lot and on LinkedIn.
I was going to say, you should bring more of them to LinkedIn. We would like them.
I love all you. This is great. I'm not sucking up to my boss here, but I really enjoy this, and I get pleasure from this. I don't take my success as seriously as other people do, because I remember I grew up a certain way, and the good news was there was good news there, and there's bad news too, but we all go through it. No one escapes.
That was Mickey Drexler, the king of retail. His newest company, which he founded with his son, is Alex Mill. Check it out if you haven't already. Now, if you want a fuller version of this conversation, if you love the nuance as much as I did and you just want to sink into it, well, we have a full version that we recorded in front of a live audience earlier this year. You can find it if you are a premium member. We will drop the link in the show notes. You can watch it with premium. So much to take away from today's conversation, right? Number one, of course, taste is not enough to be successful in our careers and in business. We must also be smart business people, and Mickey is, and that starts with his ability to listen. There's something so approachable about Mickey. He makes you want to talk to him. He engages with you deeply. Now, I understand that at the beginning of one's career, but what makes Mickey unique, and ultimately what makes him able to succeed at new things even now in his career, is that he has embodied it all the way through. Number two, and this one is specifically for job seekers. If you've been looking for a long time, especially, it can feel pretty exhausting, but I'm going to invite you to summon your curiosity. Mickey embodies curiosity, and he looks for curiosity in the people around him, and I would argue that that's what makes his products soar and sing. Can you inspire your own curiosity and bring it to the process? Finally, and this one goes right to taste. If you're feeling uncertain about your own ability to grasp at new ideas and land on the right ones, pay attention to the arc of your emotions. Pay attention to that little moment around an idea, a product, a service, where you jump and react. That is the place to begin. That is the place where you will develop your sense of taste. Now, we're going to talk about this and so much more at office hours. I hope you will join us this week, Wednesday afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern. Our senior producer, Sarah Storm, and I will go live from the LinkedIn news page. You can find a link in our show notes. And I hope you will send this episode to someone in your life who has great taste. Me, I'm going to send it to my brother-in-law, Claude. He has an outdoor store that he started in Tupelo, Mississippi. It's called Core. It's been going great, and there's a reason for this 10 years in. It's because he has great taste. I always trust him. So who in your life has taste like that? This episode's for them. All right, I'm Jessi Hempel, and this is Hello Monday. I'll be right back here next week, and I hope you will be too.